little bit first about WhoopFam, though, okay? And that has become really a platform for you and not a movement. And it's a way that you have brought literally your family into the industry and into the business. Talk a little bit about that, please.
Well, all of my family is involved in weed. They're either smoking it or we're looking at it, we're talking about it, and they're all old enough to do it, so no one panic. And I thought if I get to be a certain age, I need to leave them something, and this seemed to be something that can always evolve. And again, there's not a lot of women in the space. We don't know why, but my daughter was interested in becoming part of it, and then my granddaughter decided she wanted to as well.
It's amazing to be able to do that generationally,
Yeah.
and particularly with all the opportunities you've had, and I'm sure on a weekly or basis people come up to you with concepts, but I could tell from reading about you and following your relationship, this is a passionate relationship with the plant and the importance of it and the good things that it does for humankind.
Yeah.
And the fact that you did that, I think, as I said earlier, was an extraordinary statement for that. I don't typically have notes, those who know me as I interview, but there's such a body of work that these three ladies have done that I have taken the unusual circumstance of actually keeping notes. So now WhoopFam spans cannabis, wellness, and soon intimate care and skin care. Talk a little bit about that, please.
Well, we are all women of a certain age, different ages, of which I'm the oldest. And there are certain things that I want to see because people feel like you lose your sexuality once you get to be a woman of a certain age, and it's just not so. And so I wanted to make sure that if I was going to expand, I wanted to expand in interesting ways. And because I'm laughing about it, I'm going to let them explain what those interesting ways are. And you'll understand that I just want people to have a better time in life. I want women to have a better time in life. I want women to have a better understanding of their bodies and what is okay for them. And I know the guys are sitting here going in their minds, oh yeah, the women are doing it. But you don't understand. For women, we've spent years being told one thing and growing up and discovering something totally different. And so I want to get us all on the same page and make it fun. Maybe I'm talking about, I don't know, flavored lubes. Maybe I'm talking about, you're laughing. But listen, you know what my favorite lube is called? Eat a Friend. That's one of the, yes, and you know why? Because these are things that bring us all pleasure. And pleasure's I'm 70, I like pleasure. I like pleasure. And I want you to be 150 and like pleasure as well. I want you to recognize that this is within your power. So I'm going to slide this over.
I'm going to ask a little bit of the other thing I wanted to just get a sense from Davina and Melissa is talk a little bit about the alignment and how the three of you got together and what was the root cause, so to speak, or development of this partnership.
Well, I think of Davina and I have known each other for quite a while, and we've always wanted to work together. And when we met Whoopi, it was like, oh my God, we're going to blaze a trail. I mean, this is not a path. This is a trail that we're on and we're heading for. And Davina, we had a theme song that we always said was, it's Elton John, I'm Still Standing. And this was just an opportunity where it's like, no, there's one more trail ahead of, and we're going to blaze it and make it happen. And that's thanks to be meeting you.
Davina, your thoughts on that in terms of the synergies between the three of you?
Yeah, and I first want to say it really started with Scott Lambert, who's the CEO of WhoopFam. And he had a vision talking to Whoopi about what they could create that would go beyond just what had already been started and bringing the family in and creating true health and wellness products that were going to impact people, which is something I've always been passionate about with launching Element Apothic and being in the cannabis space is that we have an opportunity to change people's perspectives and to create products that help people live better. And then knowing Melissa, we have this shared camaraderie in terms of the brands that we've launched and created and how we can impact people. And combining that all together with Whoopi and meeting Alex, it just felt like this has to happen, and we can create new stories and we can create new pathways that are really going to make things fun and impact people in really positive ways.
You know, my sense from talking to the three of you is this is not a partnership, it's a passion of three sisters who really have a commitment that is well beyond business, but it's really from your hearts as well as, you know, your hearts and your souls as well as from your minds. You know, Davina, I want to say a little bit more about you and what you've done with your business, because you focused on cannabinoids as part of the whole body wellness. Could you speak a little bit to that, please?
Yeah, when we launched Element Apothic, you know, the understanding of our endocannabinoid system and how cannabinoids can actually benefit health and wellness, and really getting people to understand the value of that became such an important thing in the products we created, no matter how difficult it was and the trails that we had to blaze and the fights that we had to fight as we were trying to move our products into more mainstream markets, came with a huge challenge, but it was something that we would not step back from because it's so critical really to understand the health and how we can help people, and using cannabis and changing the story. It's something my whole life I've been around. I think I have a baby picture with cannabis plant that my dad had. He grew, and I knew very early on that we had to find a way to integrate products, but also make it using cannabinoids so that we could have it accepted in a broader range and start to bring people into the cannabis space.
So the cannabis space is misunderstood, mischaracterized. I would even say has been, I think the pharmaceutical industry has targeted it, has lied about it, and as a result of that mischaracterization, there's been, I think, a need to educate and to have a sense of efficacy. Speak to that and how you've done that in your business, please.
Yeah, I mean, I think efficacy comes from two things. It comes from first education, because if people don't understand what something can do for them, they don't really understand how it works or why it works the way that it does. And then it goes beyond that. As brands, we have responsibilities. Everyone in this room has responsibility to create products that actually work, because there's so many things out there that aren't effective, and it tarnishes the industry, it tarnishes the people that are trying to create something. So for me and building and what we're doing now, it's truly creating products that are going to work, that they're going to do what they say that they're supposed to do, and that we educate people along the way. It's really a responsibility. In Hawaiian, they call it kuleana, and kuleana means that I have a responsibility to my past, to my future, and to myself and to the earth to basically create or make something that's going to give back. And I feel like that's what we're doing here. It's our kuleana to create efficacious products that are supported by education. That's a responsibility that we truly have.
Melissa, you actually, through High Beauty, helped bring hemp into mainstream beauty retail. Would you talk about, you know, the challenges and how you positioned it around performance and not a trend?
Well, you know, I've been in the beauty industry for 36 years. It's a long time. And when I started,
You were 5 when you started.
Yeah, that's the hemp. It's working. When I started, I studied chemistry, and I was like, there's got to be a different way to formulate and make things. And this was at a time when we tested products on animals, when petroleum was in everything, sodium lauryl sulfate was in everything. And you started looking, there were like 25 whole food stores at this point. And I was fortunate enough to work on brands like Avalon and Alba and Unpetroleum and Juice Beauty, where we tried things differently, and there was a white space needed where people were wanting something that was efficacious, to Davina's point, but they had those clean ingredients. There was no definition of clean. There was no standard, no EWG. You couldn't go to your phone and look at an ingredient listing and determine how bad that product was for you at that point. Now, you know, we all look at the back of a label. You actually shop from a label versus there was no standard for organic. So I had Juice Beauty, and I had an opportunity when I exited Juice Beauty to be able to start a brand, and I've always believed in hemp seed oil as a performance ingredient. And I go back to 2018. 2016 was when I designed the brand, and in 2018 I was like, okay, we're going into Sephora, and hemp is a hero performance ingredient. And then CBD jumped in, right? There was a mad craze. You could find CBD in lip gloss, okay? I did not want to be a brand that was just a niche, novel product. I wanted to be what I'm used to creating, which is your everyday commodity skincare product. You wash your face, you buy the same cleanser every month. You are always using your same products. So I created hemp seed oil as the center of high beauty for what it does for the skin, and we, are still standing. So it's a something that I'm kind of proud of. It's still the vision I have now is I want someone to be able to buy it at Sephora or Target or CVS. So
The three of you all share clearly a passion that is very clear. Whoopi, you've spoken about this just now, and then as I read about some of the articles, as the next chapter, something bigger than a product, as a legacy platform, building with your daughter Alex, with your granddaughter, as part of that future. Just if you could speak about the legacy impact that you see this as having with your daughter, your granddaughter, and the rest of your family. WhoopFam really is about the family.
Well, yeah, it is. That, in the crazy part of my mind, I want us to be Johnson & Johnson.
we're working on it.
But better.
But better.
But better. With something where no one is going to be afraid that if they put it in their body, it's going to kill them. That if you put it on your baby's not going to do well. I want to be part of things that make everyone's life better in just little ways. And part of that for me is getting the family involved and realizing that this is the path. This is a good path for us. We all understand it, we all get it, and it is up to us, hopefully as a legacy brand, to improve the conversation about weed, because many people of a certain age still think of it as something bad and dirty and shouldn't do it, and this is why we're having all the trouble in Washington with various presidents that we've had who don't, they have this idea that, I guess, what is the name of that movie? Reefer Madness. People still believe that's real.
Right.
And we have to help people recognize that is a movie. It's a dumb, old movie, and that is not how this works. And talk about the ways that people's lives are improved. Talk about the children who have come to find themselves not in a place where they're having seizures every couple of hours. It's important,
I'm going to be the lawyer for a second and just say that Johnson & Johnson reference was for scaling, but not in any way saying anything negative about Johnson & Johnson. Scott, I'm just, making sure that we're all good.
Look, you know what I do for a living.
I understand.
And so I think everybody in this room is able to say, oh, she's talking about the good things that Johnson & Johnson did. See, I believe people are smart enough to figure this shit out without having to explain it all the time.
That's a fair point.
Okay.
Building something that can live beyond you, and it's your values, being able to be very clear just by your actions, by your passion. That's clearly a component of WhoopFam and what you want to do with WhoopFam.
Well, yeah,
So, Melissa and Whoopi, frankly, talk a little bit about the launch of Intimate Wellness.
Well, I've been very intimate with intimate care for three decades, actually. I launched one of the first 510K filed personal lubricants in 2010. I guess that's not 3 decades, but that's a bit of time. And it was pH balance for a woman's vagina. It was made for women, by women, and it was a time when the only thing you could get was petroleum. And petroleum's very disruptive for a woman's vagina, and you end up getting yeast infections. And it was one of these cycles that you're using a product that you're then buying the same, the same medicine you need from the same companies. Well, I think about this with Whoopi, and it's like, what does everyone do? I mean, raise your hand if you've been intimate in the last week with either yourself, a partner, or a loved one. And I hope that everyone's hand goes up in the room because we all do it. And intimate is a word that just makes you think we should be hiding something. Intimate care needs to be brought out into a room and talked about fun, with a punchline.
Yes.
And we are launching Make Whoopi, and that's going to be our first brand to market.
Very exciting.
So we're already in formulation, and we're working on the packaging, and we're hoping by Mother's Day and Father's Day, Whoopi is like sharing it with the families across America.
Well, tell them what kinds of stuff we're doing.
Well, we're doing a
For
lubricant.
men also, y'all.
Yeah, we all need it. And let me tell you, if a woman has slip, then everyone can use this. It's all for all play, any play you want. So, anyway, we're doing a personal lubricant that is aloe-based, water-based lubricant, and we're calling that, what are we calling that, Whoopi? We're calling it Smooth Talker, I think.
that's right.
We're playing with that,
That's
right?
Yes, we're playing with it.
And then we are doing the flavored lubricant, which is Eat
My
a Friend.
favorite, Eat a Friend.
Yeah, but we're going to have a flavor profile where you can get vanilla if it's a nice friend, or you want pineapple for a tasty friend. We've got some options there for you.
Got mint for those who want a little zing.
Yeah. And we're doing a vibrator. We're calling that the closer. And
This is very different than my interview with Cory Booker, by the way, just so you, much more enjoyable, but just different.
We're going to wait till you get your care package, Lou.
And I will gladly accept it. So, obviously, you made the decision intimate care was a place to begin, and that was just because you sensed that there was an opportunity in the industry?
Because I'm old and I wanted it.
Well, that's a good reason.
Listen,
You're not old, though. You're
Well, no,
good.
when you think about it, you think about older women in particular. We're told nobody wants us. We're told we're not attractive. We're told we're not sexy. And so, because this is something I hear from women all the time, this puts me in the mind of what can I do to change that? How can I make her make the move she wants to make on him or them? It is important to me that everyone knows that they are hot.
And
just think
and
it's
you're a great
important.
messenger for that because
Well-
of your stature in the world, frankly.
And frankly, I'm cute.
And you are. There's no doubt about that.
Thank you.
I'm already taking
You don't
over,
look
otherwise I would be
convinced. You don't
saying
think I'm cute as I think I am?
Come on.
All right, I'm just checking.
So, and this has been really interesting to research for this interview, by the way, as opposed to political research. So, Davina, across categories of intimate care, skin care, body, obviously it's extraordinarily important to be clean, effective, generally affordable too, okay? It has to be something that if you're really going to transcend the community has to be able to afford it. So could you speak to that a little bit about your planning in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, as I mentioned earlier, it's non-negotiable. We have to create clean products, especially with starting whatever you put on your body or inside your body. It has to be clean and safe for people to use it. And if it's not, it really takes away the fun out of it also because people end up with things that they shouldn't have to experience. So for us, non-negotiable, clean, safe, effective products. But as you mentioned, Lou, it has to be affordable. And I've been on the other side too, where we've created products that are a little bit out of people's reach and they want to try it, but they just can't afford it. We don't want that to ever be a barrier for people. We want them to be accessible. And for them, when they pick up the product, it feels good for them. It's safe. They know if they're giving it as a gift, maybe for their friend, that might be a good thing, or for themselves. So for us, these are the standards that we're setting in place from the beginning. And I think that is really important. It's what we start with, and it's always going to be how we hold ourselves accountable to building this brand.
One of the things that we've all experienced in the cannabis industry are the barriers to entry, which are much greater than traditional businesses, okay? What lessons have you learned from the cannabis industry that are applicable now to this new launch?
I mean, I think as we think about it, and I know all of us in this room have gone through these experiences, it starts with accessibility, right? People have to have accessible. It's a huge barrier in the cannabis space. It starts with normalizing it so that people feel that it's okay to try the products that they're using and be able to have a conversation with their friend or their parent, or even the self-talk that they have within themselves. The industry has been so criminalized for so many years that it becomes a stigma for so many people. I remember when I was working in corporate jobs, and I never told anybody that I smoked because I would worry that they would think that I could do a good job, and I never wanted that to be an issue. So it's taking away the stigma out of the products that we're creating. It's creating accessibility and at a price point that people can afford, so they're not trying to figure out how they juggle buying this product versus this. It shouldn't be something that they have to worry about.
No, I think that they're all good points. You know, when I first got into this as a former municipal prosecutor, I was not sure, and had parents came up to me around 2017 or 18 and talked about they had a son with Tourette's, and that it effectively had to go away and changed his life. And then, and I've shared this previously, but I'll share it again, you know, lost a stepdaughter to fentanyl overdose after she had previously lost a baby, a 10-day-old baby, not related to any drugs, but something else. And I know when she was using cannabis, she had no desire. So I think everybody in this room, we're literally saving lives and changing lives. And to your point about reefer madness, this lie has been perpetrated among the American people for 70 years in a bipartisan way. And I think to some extent, not some extent, to a large extent, funded by folks who understood that if the truth came out about what the plant does and how it can help you, that it would adversely impact other industries. And I'll just kind of leave it at that. I'm going to stay on this intimate wellness stuff because it's just got my attention here. But skincare, body care, all intersect with deeply personal routines, okay, clearly. How did you approach designing the product, which is, by definition, has to get broad appeal about something so intimate? How did you do that? I'm kind of interested in that.
Well, I'm going to kind of jump in here because we're in the midst of designing the product, but the formulations are key, I think. First of all, having a product that somebody's wanting and they're purchasing and you start a conversation about it. I think it needs to be fun. And it's a funny story. I again, have been in this industry so long, and I've always felt like a beauty outsider, okay? I grew up in a home where my mom had a hair salon, and she was a beauty queen, and I was a beauty don't, okay? And my mom, you know, I remember her giving me concealer and, you know, these different things, and I was like, there's got to be a different way where you feel good in the skin you're in, and I think that's what led me. My mom was my biggest fan when I did my first formulas and went on shelf in Whole Foods, and she, God bless her, she's gone, but she was the person that was my biggest, you know, hero with doing things differently and feeling good in the skin she was in ultimately. So I don't know if I really answered all of that.
No, you did, and it really dovetails coming back to the cannabis industry, because the one thing I've noticed, and I've been doing since 2018, is there are no strangers in this industry. The industry embraces you and welcomes you and accepts you. I think partly because the rest of the world is throwing stones at us, okay? But if you would, Whoopi, if you could speak to, again, you know, the sense of your view of the acceptance and embrace of the industry through your leadership of the cannabis industry.
Well, I just think people don't have a choice. It's here. It's not going anywhere. And I think people are, it's not going anywhere. And I think once people realize the medicinal products that are out there and that there's nothing wrong with having a good time. If you want to go have a good time, it's no different than wanting to have a couple of glasses of wine. No one can explain to me why they don't see it. And what I find is that when you say to people, well, tell me what the difference is. Tell me why you're upset about this. No one can pinpoint what the problem is.
And what their answers are not true, and that's why they're tropes. But I mean, it's.
Listen, it's fear. People are afraid. People are afraid because they don't know what it means. Some people don't understand what a high is. Some people don't understand what it's like not to have to take a giant pill from a doctor because you can use your pen to feel better. They don't recognize because in the 20s, people used all kind of drugs and stuff. Coca-Cola.
Right.
Started with cocaine. Was in the drink. Now, I would have been very interested to see what that was like.
That's why they called them the Roaring Twenties, I think.
Well, yeah, but think of all of the things, they took weed out of the hands of doctors and then made it something horrible and then put it in a whole other world that it didn't need to be in.
And that was not an accident. That was, my view, an intentional act by people who are making trillions that would put their own profit and bottom line ahead of the wellness and health of the American people. I think it was clearly, that was not an accident that you could have people in lockstep. And one of the things that the three of you are doing, and maybe we could speak a little bit to it also, is making it more mainstream through what you're doing with your various products. Could you speak to that, both of you, please?
Well, I think just by naming a skincare line High Beauty, I got a lot of backlash. It was like, well, you're not using the plant. And I'm like, we're definitely using the plant and bringing it break a barrier down and have someone get familiar with it and to take away the stigma of getting high. Yes. And, when I was quoted in like Women's Wear Daily, it was like, we're high expectations, high standards, high performance, and we work with one of the best ingredients you can do to protect your lipid barrier around your skin cells.
And did you receive a lot of pushback early on? And did any of it surprise you? Any friends, family, investors, or was there a sense of acceptance?
No, when I first was starting High Beauty, I thought I'd make a beautiful cap table. So I wanted to have, cannabis, and unfortunately I have some of the best cannabis names you could imagine, like Jason Wild. And I wanted business. I have a lot of beautiful business people on there, and then I have very dear people from the beauty industry, from L'Oreal and across the board. So I think it was kind of a fun way to capitalize that make it into a project of a little puzzle.
The same kind of questions. I mean, what type of pushback and how were you able to work through them?
Yeah, I think anyone kind of pushing in this space, and especially with the idea that we were using cannabinoids, we had a lot of pushback on the traditional retail side in terms of carrying our products or trying to get press when they were really reluctant to share this story and talk about how these ingredients are so impactful in the ways that people can use them. We had pushbacks on investor panels. I remember submitting for grants, and grant after grant kept saying, if you use cannabis or CBD, you're completely excluded from participating, which was just absolutely ridiculous because it put us in a position that made it really difficult for us to gain success compared to traditional companies. But we were really creating the best products for people and using the best ingredients. So it's something, the way that we overcame it is you just continue pushing and breaking barriers, like, Whoopi's constantly done her whole life, right? It's telling the story, it's breaking barriers, it's starting conversations. And yeah, it was a hard path, but as Melissa said, you just keep pushing with your perseverance and you still stand no matter what, because we weren't going to take out the ingredients, we were going to keep pushing. It was that important to us, and I think as we continue to push into mainstream, we have to sometimes have products that have things or don't have things, so that way we can create the conversation with the goal of getting people back to understand this is where we really want you to be, but this is how we have to get there to make this happen.
Work. That helps. It's when people recognize that you're not bullshitting them, they really are willing to have conversations, because for a long time people, again, didn't understand that the uterus is a muscle, and if I'm taking care of your muscle here, you can come in and buy our product, but then if your knees or your calves are bothering you, you can also use it, so it's not just, it helps everyone. If you can say to people, this is good for everyone, try it. You're not going to wake up high walking down the street, because people think, oh, if I put this on, I'm going to get high. So, what? No, you're not going to get high. There's not enough in here to get you high.
And you can't fake but guarantee success as you move forward. Speaking of moving forward, and I've read so many of your articles I've read about you, and the thing that's come across and really impressive is your, and we all love our families, but your commitment to legacy and WhoopFam. And as we're about to begin to wrap up, if you're looking 5 years ahead, what do you hope people would say about WhoopFam and the portfolio of brands?
I hope they say it works. We like everything. I have a new great-granddaughter who we're going to name baby products after, because that's kind of who we're making them for. So she'll get to have her little thing. She's cool. 2 months old now. My middle granddaughter loves lotions and soaps, and so Jersey will be doing that. Her name is Jersey. She makes her own soap, and so we're going to find a way to get her involved. I mean, it's just, my daughter Alex is just, she's great. She's the mother of all of these children, and not all of them, but some of them. You know what I mean. And so the whole family, and my grandson, whose baby is the new baby, he's into his hair. He's got hair, and man smells, because men smell differently. So he's into making men smell better, I hope.
Well, and he certainly could be listening to the women, because he's got no choice.
Well, yeah, but fortunately for us, the women are smart. The boy is smart. My son-in-law is really smart. He has had cancer for several years and lost hair and lost color, and so he's trying to grow it back, and he wants a better hair color. So you can't tell that he has put shoe polish in his hair. Because, men's hair coloring is very intense. And it doesn't look like, oh my goodness, your hair looks so good. It's like, what the fuck? What color is that? So we're all involved in trying to find ways that will work for the things they're interested in, along with all of the weed that we're trying to do for my mom and my brother, which is the other company.
Well, the one thing that is very clear from talking to all three of you is that you have your passion and your commitment is going to allow you, I think, to scale these businesses without losing authenticity or losing your soul. So I want to kind of give each of you a minute to kind of wrap up about, what you want these folks to take out of the 30 minutes we spent together. Davina, if you'll start, please.
Wow, do you have to really start with me? I'm just kidding.
You've done great.
I think I just think for all of us as we walk out of this room is to just live intentionally, right? And that's how we're creating the brands that we're creating, the responsibility that we have, the accountability to ourselves to do better. And in this industry, it's something that is so beautiful. And I look out of the room, I know many people here, I know many people in this space, is that we're all here because of that reason, to unify ourselves and to create something that is a lasting story in terms of the ways that we've helped people live their lives better. And so to be here with Melissa and with Whoopi and with you, Lou, and Scott and David, part of the team, is that's all that we're trying to do, is just live out our responsibility to create good products. And we're welcome to support. We're looking to build this brand and excited to be doing that and talking about that here today.
Melissa?
I would like everyone to leave the room and just love each other. And I think that's the biggest thing. If we could start there.
And you're going to give us the product to help in that regard. I like that.
Whoopi.
You know, Whoopi, when the first time I got to meet you was at the launch of your beverage in New York. And you and I had a moment together, but I didn't have a chance. First of all, I've had to sublimate the fan that I am to make this a reasonable interview, but I am such a fanboy, so this has been great to be here. I want to thank you.
Thank you.
But the thing that I felt that day, was the sense of family and the sense of love, and not only those who are related by blood, but the people who work with you,
Yeah.
and that commitment. So to you and to your mission, your passion. So I guess what I'd like to give you the opportunity to have the last word of what you want these folks to think about you and your commitment to the plant and commitment to this new business, and going forward, kind of leave them with the good feelings that we've already shared, but even more so on the way at the end of this program.
Well, I guess I want you to know how much I appreciate you all, because you're doing the work. You're doing the work. You know, when I first started talking about this, people said, you know, you can't really say this out loud. But it's like, I had no problem with it, because we made my life better. It allowed me to get up off the floor with terrible period cramps and use something that wasn't going to make me sicker. It wasn't going to make it harder. It was just going to be better. And for all of those who used to sell it on the street, and now you got dispensaries and things are better, thank you. Because without y'all, I couldn't have done better. I wouldn't know what I know without each and every one of you collectively. I don't know you all personally, but collectively. So I just want to say thank you. I just want to say thank you, and please, you know, it is a hard fight. This is a hard fight. And we'd all like to make some money, I'm sure. So, you know, we're going to have to continue to scream and fight for what we need, you know, get our banking together, you know, quit taking stuff away, quit making it harder to do this than it has to be. But we have to collectively, as a group, stand up and say, listen, stop. You know, we can't do this silently. We have to be loud about this, because otherwise they're not going to budge. They don't understand, and they don't really want to, but we have to make them. We have to make them understand why it's important for them. We have to find all those wonderful lawmakers whose families quietly have benefited from this, and we have to get them to stand up and tell what they know, how it's benefited their families. And it's going to be hard and scary for them, because as you know, sometimes if you make folks better, people get very angry. But that's not our concern. Our concern is, how do we make folks better and more comfortable? How do we make their high time a better time, a cleaner time? That's on us. And so that's what I'm hoping that we can all do together.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give your welcome to appreciation to a legend and two legends in the making.
Ladies and gentlemen, how awesome was that? Better yourself, better the world, better those around you, an absolutely stellar discussion led by the infamous Lou Magazzu. If you're looking for a lawyer, call Lou. Better call Lou. I didn't say that first. Sincerely, thank you all so much. It is hard not to socialize after Whoopi Goldberg. I know, it's awesome. She's fabulous. But we have like 4 hours of more panels. All right, so if you're leaving, please try and do so with low conversation. I appreciate you. As we are getting our next panel to the stage, I just want to tell you guys, ignited.com is where you need to live. It is the dashboard of the industry, right? We are going to bring in content that you're already reading from across the industry, from many of the main media members of the cannabis, amazing journalism masters that we see. I got there. Yeah, but please check out ignited.com. Free subscription, free newsletters, free content. It's a wonderful space to be. As we bring up the next panel, we're going to be talking about what's hot in New Jersey. Premium cannabis, edibles, beverage, pre-rolls, flower, vape, everything. We're going to be talking about it all on this next panel. So please find your seats for me as we welcome our moderator shortly, Rochelle. But in the interim, I'm going to throw a curveball and have Shabazz come back up and tell us a little bit about what he's heard from the content today.
I mean, that was incredible. I've genuinely never gotten so intimate about intimacy with so many people around. So, and I mean, that's a conversation we got to talk about a lot. So, 30 seconds, find your seats. In terms of what I've heard over the course of the day, really thanking, the same